Present.
District 7, Shane Gary, House State Deputy.
Present.
Deputy 8, Tosh Flanagan.
Present.
District 9, Brian Johnson. Deputy 10, Don Mulber.
Present.
Ceremonial Director Ray Henson.
Present.
Community Director Max Maxwell.
Present.
Evangelization Faith Formation Chairman Pat King.
Present.
Faith Director Jeff Beacon.
Please excuse.
Family Director Nick Dyson.
Here.
Marion Hour, Brian Summer, Past State Deputy and everything else.
Excuse me.
Membership Director Paul Ford.
Still present.
Program Director Nick Pedra.
Present.
Roundtable Chairman John Thurston.
Present.
Webmaster Joe Dunn.
Present.
And one of the state deputies that concludes the roll call.
Okay, thank you very much. Let us do our prayer and pledge with John Thurston.
I'm gonna do this prayer. Can we just pass that back? I might be a couple short. Somebody asked if I could hand this out today, and so I don't have to pay for back there. Grab it here.
Some people ask for a copy of it.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Our Lady Queen of the Nights, bless
Bless all the activities of our order. Keep us true to our pledge to extend the kingship of thy divine Son on earth. Through thine intercession, win for us the grace to ever exemplify in our public and private lives the virtues that should characterize those especially dedicated to the service of our Heavenly Lord. Make us always aware we are constantly observed, our faith judged, and our order appreciated. Accept, O Mary, this renewed pledge of fealty and devotion and service, the Knights of Columbus.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Now, we're the district master.
We have a new Supreme Master, Dennis Stoddard, retired after 13 years as the Supreme Master, and Cass State Deputy of Tennessee and Board of Director Michael McCusker took over as Supreme Master on March 1st. Next slide. We've finally gotten, we've had 3 degrees, and they still had Dennis Stoddard's certificate, so that just last week, we finally got the new certificate, which has Michael McCusker's name. Next slide. And I'd like everybody to stand right now. Those that have regalia, please sit down. What? Those that have regalia.
Oh, look at that.
Or the new uniform, I should say. And that. So everybody that is a 4th degree, please sit down. There's a form for you. What that demonstration shows is that your 4th degree are your dedicated knights, and those are the guys that are your leaders. Most of our leaders, I know the same happens in the council as well, that most of the leaders, most of the people that are there week in and week out are your 4th degree members. So I think it's important for us to teach that fourth lesson, that's taught in the patriotic degree, and to get your members up to the fourth degree. And that last year we had 1,125 fourth degree members, which is about 20% of our membership, and that's about in line with the overall numbers throughout the order. We'd like to increase that because that's, when you've dedicated to the fourth degree, ask your active members to become fourth degree knights, because that's where we're going to get our leadership from. And that this year I'm hoping to get quite a few degrees in. We have dates in October 7th in Pocatello set up, and November 11th in Nampa. The Napa one is in conjunction with their Veterans Dinner that they have every year for the veterans. So that one will be a very interesting one to attend. And that's that's the patriotic program that won the To Be a Patriot Award in this last year. We'd like to have a degree in Fruitland for the people that are a little closer to the border there. When we did it in Meridian, we had one person that came from Ontario to our degree over here. And I want to get another one in Idaho Falls in the spring, as well as one up north again in Lewiston. And I'd like to do another Spanish language degree from the Boise area and a bilingual one in the Twin Falls area to give more people opportunities to join the fourth degree. Next slide. Just as with the councils, there is a star award for assemblies. It requires the membership officers chosen 186 form, the annual audit 1315. They also require a newsletter and the Civic Award and a To Be a Patriot Award entrance in that. And that I'd like to kind of do a little bit of emphasis on the newsletters. What's really important to grow your assemblies as well as your councils is having programs and getting better communications. I know we're not really good at getting out to all of our members and our council members and letting them know what's going on and getting them involved with the programs. But those programs, they're not joining to be having another meeting. I'm excited, I'm gonna go have a meeting. No, they're and that. So we need to let them know with communications and newsletters, and we need to get submitting those awards. The Civic Award is a lot like the Columbian Award. You would need 4 patriotic programs, and so it's just 1 per quarter. So it's not overwhelming for the assemblies to do. And I would like to, I didn't get many Civic Awards from our assemblies. We should be receiving them from almost all of our assemblies. They should be doing at least 1 patriotic program per quarter. Back a couple, speeding me to the end here.
Go back.
Okay, that's one. Okay. The state deputy of Washington, D.C., George sent this little notice to me, and that he's requesting that they get some funds, and I have a form that you can, if your assembly wants to try and collect some funds, or if you want to just offer it up for individuals to donate to this. But like the Supreme Knight said in his remarks, we're facing a sea of secularism, in that they're trying to take away the, kind of change the past. And, in history, and that the statue in the picture there was put up it was erected by the Knights of Columbus back in 1902, and the march is going to be in front of that in Washington, D.C. So if you're interested, you can get information from me to donate towards that. Next slide.
Dave, isn't that one that the secularists tried to take down?
No, you can have, I mean, there was the time in the riots of, in the last couple of years, they're trying to tear down all these statues, and that Christopher Columbus has gotten a lot of had a lot of people tearing his statues down because basically he brought Catholicism and tried to get the Indians to convert. And a lot of the methods that were in vogue at the time were rather coercive, and so they're trying to rewrite history and make them all villains and tear down all the monuments, and that we need to kind of look at history. I mean, there's good parts to history and bad. He brought he was an evangelizer and brought Christendom to the New World, but he also some of their methods were not in vogue with the sensibilities of today. So okay. And then let's see here. So Color Corps events. The Color Corps is the visible arm of the Knights of Columbus. A couple of years ago, we've submitted some resolutions to Supreme about the Color Corps and the new colored baldricks for the offices is in response to that. So thank you, John, for starting that and writing up that, as well as Chuck.
Chuck led the first effort.
Okay, there's a previous effort too.
So on the Baldrics, do they have those for both the working and the social?
No,
No,
just working.
no, it's just the
Sword ball.
the service ball.
Or just the service? Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, no, the social baldrick is still the same.
Okay.
So, and that, but I'd like the Color Corps is the visible arm of the Knights. So it's great to get, particularly like confirmations in the ICYC. When we put out a Color Corps for those events, we're getting the same. Those are the Knights, and we're going to get young people, talking about us with that. The state meeting masses is something that George wants to get going, and that. So we're going to try and have one this at the mass today, and that. The Idaho Men's Conference. I know we presented the colors there. That was a great exposure to, again, a group of young men that are yearning for their faith. The Silver Rose programs and the state transfers. This is a picture from the transfer from Idaho to Oregon in front of our Blessed Sacrament in Ontario, Oregon. And as you can see, I was the only one that had the uniform that was there. We did have three of our Idaho Knights on Bikes that delivered the rose from Weiser to Ontario, and that. So that's another way that they're visible with their vests as well, and that. And it's good for you to wear your council ones and be noted, particularly when you're doing things, so that they'll start associating the Knights with the programs that we're putting on. Ordinations, again, as the Supreme Knight had pointed out, they're doing 3 years of Eucharist processions and that to really get across the point that the Eucharist is the true body of Christ, and when we can participate in those, it shows that we're involved with that as well. So next slide. Yeah. In conclusion, it's really programming that kind of is for you guys as DDs, which this conference is mostly done. It's your job to encourage as you go on, and I encourage you to look at Supreme's website and get your Grand Knights and council officers to go to the website. You'll find lots of great ideas, and I'd hope that you would encourage them to at least add one new program, because that new program that you start may bring several people that are interested in that out of the pews and into your council. And communication is the other big thing. If we're not, saying that the Knights, if we're just doing the programs and not letting anybody know about it, then people aren't going to be associating the programs that we are doing with the Knights. And they may not be joining us because they don't know, oh, that was a Knights program. So I encourage you to work on programming and the communications, both between your officers and and the members and the officers in the states, and don't be afraid to ask the state officers, because they have experience. They've been through what you're going through, and they have a lot of answers or a lot of things that you might be able to try. So that's the end of my report.
Next up, we're going to have a report on ceremonials by Ray Vincent. Yes, Ray, please go up. I want to thank, wait a minute, is that the right one? Ceremonials, or is it general agent? I apologize. It's general agent report. So Trey Shore, will you please come up and do the general agent report? One thing I'd like to say is that the general agent has graciously offered to pay for our booze. I mean, our drinks, our adult beverages. We had it right the first time. So, you want to thank him for that, and thank you. Very good.
Not I. I will convey that thanks. Okay, where is the deputy, where are the officers, others all? George, how much time do we have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, excellent. Very good. All right, so congratulations on the excellent year of fraternal growth, 140% of our membership goals we heard earlier this morning. That's awesome. Very well done, brothers. That means lots of councils earn the gift you. Far fewer councils earn the founders. Come to that. Okay. Quick note on products, because I always have to tell you what products we offer, because you don't know that. Right? Term and permanent life insurance, disability income for younger workers, long-term care insurance, a growing need in our society, retirement savings through our annuities. We've been doing that almost as long as life insurance. Guaranteed minimum rates on our annuities this year came back up to 3%, where they were over a decade ago, up from 1.5 where they were last year. So that's a good change. Current interest rate on new deposits is 4.25%. So that's guaranteed for the first year, and the rate can go up or down quarterly, but can never go below 3% for the lifetime of the contract. Very solid program there. And of course, now you all know we offer investments through Knights of Columbus Asset Advisors. And if you want to talk more about that, I am your guy. In addition, we have donor advised funds and other charitable solutions through Knights of Columbus Charitable Foundation, or Charitable Fund, KCCF, whatever the F stands for. All right, pressing on, back to the Founders Award. Founders Award, we still need 2 fraternal benefit events within the fraternal year to qualify for it. There have been some changes to it this year. Now, every council should qualify because this is a very easy requirement to meet. The national events, the regional events, virtual events that we've been hosting for the past 3 years, those will continue. Nationally and internationally known speakers like Tom Hegna, Joe Jordan, Ed Slott, Ben Miller, all those guys with big names. In addition, the local field agents will have even more resources than they have previously had in order to make fraternal benefit events a success. I did one this last month, just a couple weeks ago, for the Spanish Cathedral Council, using a video that Supreme provided. It's a PowerPoint with attached audio in Spanish. So I didn't have to know Spanish, which is muy bueno.
What was that again?
I don't know, because I don't know Spanish. Sometimes. All right. So even more resources for field agents. Now here are the big changes. The general agent is no longer responsible for submitting a report to Supreme. That responsibility will reside with the Grand Knight. There is a web form available. And John, I think you might have that in your email somewhere, forwarded from Joe Dunn, forwarded from Kevin Turi. About how to access
I think it's on that drive I gave you, John.
Okay, there is a website that Supreme's got where the Grand Knights will be able to go in, put in the information about the benefit event. Here's a good change. There is no minimum attendance requirement for any one event. So if you go through the effort to promote the event and only the Grand Knight shows up, it still counts. However, there is a minimum attendance requirement for your combined events. So if you have 2 or 3 events and you meet the minimums, you still qualify.
In this video, we will walk you through the form that must be completed tonight after their count.
All right. I'll come into that as soon as the audio cuts off here. So actually, Supreme also has a video that they put together to show your Grand Knights how to go through this online form and submit it. And once that form is submitted, then General Agent Kevin Turi will have veto power to say, no, I don't believe that event really happened, kick it out. Or just
Total attendance of member.
We don't need probably video. Everybody ready with your pencils? Here are the numbers. Councils with 99 or fewer members on July 1st, 2023 roster must have a sum total minimum of 10 unique member or member eligible attendees across all fraternal benefits.
All through the year? Okay, so 99 or more?
Less.
Fewer members on your current roster.
That's greater than 2.
Okay.
Ready?
Engineer, not too bad.
All right, let's go. What was what's the number?
10. Minimum of 10, unique. So that doesn't mean the Grand Knight can come to 5 different events and count himself 5 times.
One time?
Grand Knight can count himself 1 time. Thank you. Hopefully that's clear. Councils with 100 or more members on their current roster, July 1st, 2023.
Yes.
Must have a sum total 14 unique members or eligible attendees. Note these are not insurance eligible attendees.
After their council completes a fraternal benefit.
That's
So Trey, would,
This has the sound.
a non-night count if it's a male that could join the nights?
Yes.
So he doesn't have to be insurance eligible. That means he doesn't have to be less than 80 years old. So your knights who are 80 plus can still count. People who are in your parish who are not knights can still count.
Male and female?
No,
No, just
membership
male. They
eligible.
have to be membership eligible. We got a little squishy on that requirement this last year.
Family members?
Sure. as
Yes.
long as they're membership eligible.
Membership eligible.
Male and female.
And
They
say,
can
"I'm in
attend,
your
but
parish."
only the member eligible or the members count.
Okay.
So if you've got 2 guys and 14 women, you've got 2 guys.
No, unless the women are spouses of current members, then we can count their families.
That's
They
what
can
I'm
sign
saying,
their
that's what I
husband's
mean,
name.
families of a member.
Yeah.
Would count that.
That would count. Say that husband's not able to attend, it's fine, his wife's there.
Not to, I'll go ahead and finish all guys, yeah.
Sure. Membership eligible, because these events, as we talked about earlier this morning, are recruiting events. We are aiming these fraternal benefit events at people who are not knights primarily. Sure, it's great to give our members some extra financial education, but, I mean, many of you guys have been to these fraternal events before, right? You've heard this. Let's open the door for people who haven't heard it before to get this information, find out what the Knights can do for them. Sure.
Are there a minimum number of events that the council has to host this year?
2. Council must host 2 events, but there is no minimum attendee number for any one particular event.
What happens if at the first event they have 14 member eligible people? Do we still have to do a second
Still have to do a
event?
second event.
But they don't have to have the one. The grand night.
Yeah, so
Does he get mileage for that?
if you get 14 people in your first event, say Paul is presenting at your council, you got 14 people there, then, okay, great, you got that one thing done. And now, as long as one person logs on to one of the virtual events later in the year, yeah. All right, I think that's pretty good. Other questions about fraternal benefit events? About anything else?
Well, I mean, let's say that happened.
Yeah.
One person attended the first one, that would still count as a second event, even though they weren't.
It would still count.
Would he count as a unique person if it was the same person that was one of the 14?
You could count him as a unique person in the second event, and then you only had 13 in the first one.
Which is still enough,
is still
so still
14.
win.
So you win.
If I can make a comment, guys, one of the things we really need to get out of the mindset is we're checking boxes. The purpose of the fraternal benefits is to advertise what we do. Our fraternal benefits are an important reason the Knights exist. So getting it to the people in the parish may be a reason that somebody joins the Knights. So rather than what's the minimum I can do to check the box, how do we really maximize the effect of what these guys have to offer to not only our members, but also to the members of our parish? And it's a little change in the way we look at things, but don't go for the minimum. Man, blow this out of the water, guys.
As Patrick Kelly said this morning, without our insurance and our investments, Knights don't exist. So, with that, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I want to make one small retraction on what Trey said. We actually had more founders awards last year than we had in Gibbons. We got to 23 founders awards, which is well above the 50% mark. Very, very good performance. You guys knocked it out of the park, and we're going to recognize that. All the numbers you got.
We're the state deputy.
Yeah.
And I think we owe a round of applause to Trey Shore, who went
Worked
to
his
many
butt off.
councils and did multiple efforts, almost exclusively in the last 3 months. I wish you'd help me thank Trey for all his hard work.
Okay. I'd like to move on to state initiatives now.
So before we do that,
Oh.
can I just ask, I mean, maybe I'm ignorant of this, but how many active councils are there in Idaho right now?
40.
40?
Yes. So basically 57% made founders, and it was right close to 50% made McGivney. I can't,
22 made me.
22 made McGivney? Oh, so it's 55%. Very good. So founders beat McGivney by 1. Okay, thank you. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ken Reef to talk about Salt Light Radio and Safe Environment Initiatives. Ken.
Good afternoon, brothers. Let me start off with a little story. And this has to do with salt. Who's got my presentation?
I'll be on that hard drive I gave you, John.
What's the name of it?
Got a folder here or some.
Let me make a brief commercial presentation. If you're going to submit a lovely slideshow to us, put your name Your last name is the first several letters, then an underscore, and then whatever it is, so we can find it. That really helps.
Do you want to give him?
Yeah, we'll have to say next slide.
Alrighty then.
You have
Okay.
all the control. Go ahead,
We'll have the control. A story first. This happened over the last year, 12 months, to me twice. As a state officer, and before that, as Grand Night twice, district deputy twice, all that. I'm always looking to see who I can get to join the Knights, and I found that talking to their wives is a great way of doing it. So the two ladies I talked to about their husbands, both were about the same age. The husbands were about the same age, which was in the late 30s, early 40s. And they both said the exact same thing to me. They said, my husband doesn't want to wear that funny hat that everybody else does. And one's, both said that. The other one says, no offense, but he doesn't hang around with a bunch of old guys. Whoa. And he goes, besides, he doesn't like cooking in the kitchen. And so when you think about that right there, there's a lot of misconceptions that were out there on the Knights. So that's one of the reasons that we're so excited about this program that we're undertaking right here. I don't know why it's so big, guys. So
It's a big deal.
So our number one first goal is to raise the visibility of the Knights statewide and to correct misunderstanding. And that's how we're setting this up. I'll get a little bit more detail soon on how we're doing that. We also want to encourage men to join the Knights of Columbus through the associate membership, because that's easy to push over the radio waves. They may not know what a council is or something like that.
You mean e-membership?
Yeah.
That's a little young to be.
They are not insurance eligible.
Yeah.
family
And they're not my kids either.
But in 12 years.
There you go.
And also, when I was asked to try to develop a partnership by George, and I guess Ray Logan, as they corralled me at a small dinner, you know how that is, I'm sure.
Engaged and inspired you.
Yes. We wanted more secure key positioning. We want secure key positioning at the men's conference that is sponsored by Salt Lake Radio. Okay, so those were the three major things. What we've accomplished to date on this is, if you listen to Salt and Light Radio during the morning show, we have secured time every month for what we're calling two conversations. And it's 14 minutes? 14 minutes, right before 7:30. Live, yeah. So it breaks into two different conversations. And each one conversation is held once a month for the two. So Into the Breach conversations, we started that. What we're doing is we've taken the Into the Breach manual, and who knew that there were 12 of them, conversations in there, chapters.
I knew there was.
Almost. Only the one that's in front, for the most part, says I knew that. And so that's great, once a month, right? So Pat has been teeing this up for us, because if you didn't know already, he does the Manscaped on Salt Light Radio. And he's been keying this up and doing it like that. And we're about ready to bring other nights in to talking about that. And the greatest thing about it is there's plenty of videos around. There's a seminar guide that I'm sending out to nights so that they can read and get prepared for the topic of the conversation, which might be masculinity, for example. So that happens. The other thing that happens are what we're calling Knights conversation. And so far, we've had our state chaplain have a conversation on his job. George had it on what the state of Idaho is. Corey kicked us off doing it. And really, these are really easy conversations to have because we send to Brian Howell, who's the program director, the topics and some questions to key up. And whoever speaks is ready for those conversations. Now granted, you gotta watch how long you speak or you've run out of time, right?
Goes fast.
Yeah, goes fast. But the point is, we're hoping through this to accomplish those previous 3 goals that I put out there. So, this point going forward is this is our next steps. And we want to get the individual councils involved by producing PSA materials so it gets on the calendar for Salt and Light Radio, that gets out in their mailings and those type of things. So we're bringing this down a little to the next level, which is the councils. That is right off of the Salt and Light Radio website where people would go and fill out the information, right? We're also, as part of this partnership with Salt and Light Radio, the Knights has offered manpower to them. And that manpower might be at their fundraising. Maybe we get a bunch of Knights to man the phones, for example. All Knights doing that, right? Maybe it could be helping out with their golf tournament. Maybe it's, something else that they have. Maybe it's helping out at the men's conference because we'd like to see a bunch of Knights there, right? So those are what we've offered to do for them. And they asked us one other thing here, an SLR, Salt Light Radio, right? We're looking at establishing a Salt and Light Radio advocate at every council or parish that we can. What does that basically do? That's ensuring that the message about the men's conference, for example, gets out, that they're having a fundraiser. So maybe we try and get something in the bulletin, or maybe we try and get something else out there publicizing the men's conference, whatever it is, I don't know. But we're setting those things up right now. So how can you help on this type of stuff? One, if you feel that you have the gift to gab, which I know a lot of you do, you might consider being a conversation participant. The good news is that you can either go down to the radio station if you're local, or you can dial in, or better yet, go on a Zoom.
It's better in person if possible.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
there's no delay, and if you don't have a good setup, you don't hear it very well. So if you can be in person,
That's number one. But if you're not going to be in the Treasure Valley, it's kind of tough, right?
Right.
So we still want to use you. And I talked to Brian about this. And as we kick off, we want to build a core of people that are familiar with getting on the radio. So that's what we're trying to do. So if you're interested, find me today, or I'm going to be coming out looking for you. Because I know a bunch of you who I think would be great over here. Question?
North Idaho don't have access to this. Is there a way?
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it's coming.
Because it'd be kind of cool to do this, but
Yeah.
you don't have access.
Okay, you can download Salt and Light Radio's app. They have their own app, which means you can listen to it live at the time, or you can go to the YouTube channel, which is Salt and Light. It's all one word, Salt and Light Radio Boise YouTube channel. And my podcast is on there. Their morning light show is on there. A couple other things. Their content on there, so you can watch anything that's been done so far for the Knights on there as a download, or at their website as well, and at their app too.
The last thing is we're going to get into the breach sessions started in every district, and I'm going to let Pat talk about that. And that's going in concert with the, helping out Salt and Light Radio to keep their name from the men's conference in front of everybody. All right, so I'm gonna jump quickly here to safe environment. If you weren't under a rock, you heard me talking about safe environment last year. I'm gonna tell you, the approach has changed just a little bit this year. And I'm not gonna say there's zero tolerance for not taking it, but we're asking men to act like leaders. And if you're leading an organization, as a grand night, a program director, etc., you need to take this. All right, no if, buts, runs about. Here's why. Okay, what's happening when the safe environment programs are not enforced? And we haven't done a good job of that. We're gonna change. You guys know that dioceses are going bankrupt. That's the Cathedral of the Light, Christ the Light in Oakland. It's declared bankruptcy with $500 million worth of lawsuits against it. There are a number of dioceses that are declaring bankruptcy because of safe environment type of offenses that occurred in the past. All right, it occurred in the past. In the past, we don't want them to happen in the future or the present. Excuse me. I should click on this. There it is. Okay. The bishop right here, our bishop, has a zero tolerance for sexual abuse. You can read him right here. Understand that if you're working at a diocese piece of property where there are kids, you must have the diocesan training. You must have it. Unless, of course, you're a Knight of Columbus and you took our training, the Presidium training, then you take your certificate and you email it. You get that when you complete, of course, email it to this Office of Safe Environment for the diocese, and they'll accept that in lieu of taking theirs. We have the gold standard. We are the only group that there will accept the certificate.
Now accepting it in our diocese.
Yes.
Paul has a question.
Paul.
Ken, I took it 9 years ago because I had to teach catechism in Idaho Falls. Is the statute of limitation, is that right?
Way over. Way over.
By triple.
Yeah.
Can you, when you remember, send me the link so I can take it online tonight?
Yeah. Okay. We'll do. In
I'll
fact, I'll
tell
send
you
it
now,
to
it's
Luke.
kfc.org/safe.
Yeah.
Safe environment.
Just safe.
But I will send it to everybody in this room. All right.
Thank you.
So,
You have to renew it every, what, 2 years?
Three. So here's who's got to take: Grand Night Program Director, Family Director, Community Director. It's mandatory for these positions. There, for the Family Director, Community Director, a background check is mandatory. Not for the Grand Night, not for the Program Director. And the background, once that's all done through the Knights of Columbus, those officers can, but they don't have to take the diocesan training if they go and take that Knight certificate and pass it over to the diocese. They'll accept it. So you only have to take one training. Okay? Everybody get that? Now, this is me and George talking about how we're trying to move this ahead. Let's not wait till half a year. Let's not wait till the end of the year. If a leader who's supposed to be an example for the other knights in his council will not take it, don't judge them by what they say. Judge them by their actions. If after 60 days they haven't done it, I will talk with them. And if they're not going to do it, replace them. We want leaders in key positions. We don't need placeholders. Okay? Enough said on that. How do you like the thing I made?
Yeah.
Strong right arm of the church.
There's a good photo of me.
Pat, show us.
Don't move and show us.
All right. So, regular members, if you are a regular member, you don't have to take the Knights of Columbus training. You could if you wanted to, but you don't have to. But you got to take the diocese training if you are around kids on parish property or diocesan property. Okay? If you don't want to take the diocesan one, then take the night ones. And what do you do with the certificate? Email it to the Safe Environment thing. And I'll be getting all this exact information out to you. But guys, I gotta tell you, last year was so frustrating for me. I'm sure it was for you because you had grand nights or you had program directors or family directors. Oh yeah, I'll do it. All of a sudden, 8 months are gone. Right? Guys, you have more important things to do than bird dog these people. So my advice to you is, I'm not telling you to get rid of them. I'm telling you to have a serious conversation with them and you decide if they're just blowing smoke in your posterior or whether or not they're actually going to do it. Question.
Background check, who pays for it?
They, Knights of Columbus does, or
We just go to the local sheriff and ask.
no, you'll send a release to them. For example, the diocese.
They'll get you.
And they'll do it. And the Knights of Columbus has your information already. And if you have that certain position that requires it, they'll do it.
Ken, just to be clear, Knights of Columbus will not take Idaho.
That is correct. That we will not take Idaho. And there's a lot of reasons behind it and a lot of business reasons. Limiting liability for us, for example, after conversations with our insurance company, which is Lloyd's of London. So we're standing on our own feet. We accept it. We want our members to take ours. By the way, ours is the gold standard in this.
The only people who are required in the council to do the background check are the community director, family director. Everybody else just takes the training. Knights won't pay for a background check if it's not those two positions.
Yeah. So, I mean, nothing from that standpoint has changed from last year. I think what has changed is the sense of urgency on this. If our job is to support the priest, he has to take it. All his people have to take it. The key parishioners that are volunteers have to take it. You know, in his proclamation, he specifically calls out as one of the groups that have to take it, the Knights of Columbus. Are you getting that they're serious about this? So if our job is to ensure that we're following the bishop's direction, the question to you guys as district deputies is, how long are you going to give your guys in councils a grace period before they take it? 60 days sounds fair to me, but it's really up to you. But I mean, you got to be able to fish or cut bait.
If they don't take it in 60 days, the name comes off the list and they have to start back.
No, see that. I didn't see that last year.
The Grand Knight won't, but the program directors will.
Yeah. Okay. Safe environment training is not going to go away. It's just going to be more. I mean, Police Athletic League, CYO asked for it. Boy Scouts asked for it. It's here. You're going to see detailed breakdown that like I said last year, on by name on who in the councils is doing it and who's not doing it. All right. We are being monitored by the Diocese of Boise, and in fact, I got communications from the Diocese of Boise last year on some nights that people they say were nights, and they're not too happy with their behaviors. So they asked us to look at that. And so I called Supreme and had conversations with them. So districts are expected to be compliant in 60 days or take steps to rectify the negative situation. It's up to you how you want to do it. But the goal is you want leaders in positions of responsibility, and how are you going to motivate the regular men to get things done, accomplish great things, we can get the leaders to take this course. So my advice to you, the sooner that your councils get compliant, the better for all of us. That's my point.
Thank you very much. Where's that? We have a couple short reports left. Idaho KCCF charity account by Roy Bartholomew. And I'll do a little bit about new councils.
So just where we're at with the Idaho KFC charity accounts, as mentioned, you know, it's done through Asset Advisors at Supreme, 50C3 funds. We have a fund for ultrasound initiatives. That account has $2,066 in it right now. But, you know, in the last 3 years, we've put 5 ultrasound machines in the state. And our vision for growing that fund really is just that the way we grew it in the past is we just ask councils, hey, so-and-so is they want an ultrasound in their community. Can your councils provide money? And we've been able to always raise that $8,000-9,000 we need. We'll usually get for us to pay for a quarter of it and Supreme to pay for half. Of course, the particular facility has to be able to apply for an ultrasound machine. So that fund, we're not looking to fundraise for necessarily. We're just looking for councils to pony up as we need to put ultrasounds and save lives in the state. We've been very responsive, like I said, the last 3 years, and been able to put 5 ultrasounds in the state. So just keep up the great work on that and continue to promote to the councils if they want to make a donation to the ultrasound fund, or if individuals want to make a donation to the ultrasound fund, tax deductible, throw it to our state secretary, he'll get the money into the fund. The bigger fund, our general 501c3 charitable fund, that typically our state deputies will hand out checks to, you know, Special Olympics, so Wheelchair Mission, Coach for Kids, you know, Right to Life Idaho, all these funds that all these different groups that we have come and speak at our state conventions, we always want to present them a check. And so we're trying to build a corpus in what we call our general fund. Last year, as you recall, we did a raffle. We raised a little over $6,000, and then councils ponied up at the state convention for another $2,500. Currently, we sit with $8,184 in that general fund. And then the state deputies will have a meeting later this year, come up with a strategy for raising some more funds. This year, you know, we've talked about possibly another raffle, one that, you know, maybe we get some Cabela's gift cards or something and do you know, sell 1,000 tickets at $20 a ticket. You know, that could raise $20,000, and we've got probably $4,000 or $5,000 expenses, but we need the councils to sell them again, which, you know, in that case, maybe we give them an incentive of, you know, they get 5% of what they sell, you know, something to that effect. We've also talked about maybe, you know, going the corporate route where we can maybe get some corporate sponsorship to pony some big money. We really, unless we find the person who could go out there and get that money for us, or hire a company, you know, that's the strategy is just, it's been in discussion. We've also talked about the possibility of maybe just doing an assessment this year with our January billing. And because we haven't voted on it as the state council yet, you know, it'd have to be voluntary this year. But, you know, if councils are reluctant to sell raffle tickets because they want to just sell them for their own charitable funds locally, we certainly understand that. But then, you know, we still need to raise money in this fund and have a good corpus in the future. So, yeah, just as district deputies, encourage your councils and your district meetings, and when you're there, just, you know, continuously get that message out occasionally that we're trying to continue to raise these funds for our charitable accounts, and they're there to do a lot of good for us.
Thank you very much.
Wasn't a good portion of those funds raised by George's fees?
That's my feet.
I have Special Olympics raffle tickets, if anybody's interested.
Okay. Guys, it's almost time for a break.
Yes.
The break is coming like negative 3 minutes ago, which is good because we were at one point 10 minutes behind, a little bit more than that. So if I could talk for negative 3 minutes, we could be released right now. Right? I'm gonna be really quick. New council development. We have 3 hotspots in the state that could use, well, 4. One is McCall Cascade, so-called Valley County. They want to be a new council. They have been really active as a roundtable this last year. And we're gonna try to do that. Second one, I hear Nick Pettinger's over there. It's Haley. There are an awful lot of Catholics over there, an awful lot of Catholics. I think a lot of Hispanic Catholics as well. That's another place we're looking to expand. We're going to try for and also Kevin Turry is the other. He's the new council development leader in the north. I'm in the south. In the north, we're looking at potlatch. I said it's a challenge. Go ahead and see what you can do, Kevin. See if you can get potlatch. They got 22 guys. They're big enough to be a council. They've been big enough to be a council for a long time. They could be a council. So let's see if Kevin can pull it off.
Who's their roundtable sponsor?
It's
Moscow.
yeah, Moscow is the main council, and Dave Gonzalez, I think, is the contact. So anyway, we got 3. I'm shooting for 2.
Dave used to be the college council chairman.
Right, he was. So that concludes all my remarks about new council development at the moment. We have we'll hear about new council or council resurrection or renewal from Charlie when you get back from break. So, but not immediately. So go ahead and take your break. Get what should I take? I think you got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Get back. safe environment. We want this one to go up an awful lot next year. I'd like to see that closer to in the 30s. Okay, it would be nice to get to 40. Our goal is to get to 40. Realistically, remember this. Well, this is one thing that's really easy to remember. They're trained for 3 years. They don't have to redo it for 3 years. That's a great selling point because then they're safe environment compliant for 2 next years.
That can be done all online, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing. You can do it whenever you want. It's not like the diocesan training, which is only when they show up.
No, they do it online.
Yeah. And now that everybody's back, I'd like to introduce Ray Hinson to talk about ceremonial. Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. As mentioned, I'm going to talk on ceremonials today, and I know I'm going to be speaking to the choir, preaching to the choir on this subject, but it never hurts to hear it and hear it again. So, I hope everyone has had a wonderful 4th of July celebration this past week. It's always one of my favorite patriotic holidays. And one of my most favorite parts of the 4th of July, as probably with you, is the fireworks demonstration.
Yes.
You know, I guess I'm a grown juvenile, as we probably all are too. But anyway, fireworks is a biggie. Can you imagine seeing fireworks by video? You know, it's just not the same thing. You don't get the fallout coming out of the air on top of you. You don't get the smells and stuff like that. Oh yeah, the smell of cordite in the morning. You know, so that sort of thing. That's kind of the way I look at doing ceremonials, live versus online, you know, or video. It's just not the same thing. Yes, it's checking a block. As Tom here mentioned it earlier. You got to do it for a new member to join your councils, but I digress. Okay, next slide. Okay, before I'm sure all of us here have been in the Knights longer than 4 years, which is when the new ECUV, I call it the ECUV, short for exemplification in charity, unity, and fraternity, was begun. And we all remember something or most of those separate exemplifications that we went through. But in modern times, we've kind of adjusted. What are the disadvantages of the historical or the what way we used to do it, separate degrees? Well, it was lots of time spent away from your family. 3 separate ones, you know, maybe a 4th one if you went to the patriotic degree. Also, the manpower required to execute these degrees was rather cumbersome. In some cases, you had to rely on the team provided by the state to exemplify the 3rd degree, because that was such a, as most of you all can remember, quite an ordeal. You had to have either a bishop or a priest do the Inquisition. I'm sure everybody remembers their Inquisition question, right? I know I remember mine because I got it wrong. You know, gee, who would figure that I didn't study my catechism the night before? But so that's the part that I remember, right? So that's another point. And then also longer wait periods between those degrees. A lot of times it was 30, 60, 90 days between the 1st and the 2nd, or the 2nd and 3rd. I can't remember what it used to be, but there was a time requirement. You couldn't just like make it the next weekend or whatever. So that was a disadvantage. So now, why have the new ECUV, I'll call it, in our district and councils? And another thing too, you know, we were wearing those hot robes, you know, for those who might have been on the teams. We had to get into those robes. You couldn't do it by yourself. You had to have a friend. button you up the back, you know, it's stuff like that. It's like, I don't know where it is.
And they often didn't fit.
Yes, yeah. It was always hot, no matter if it was in the winter time or whatever, but there you go. So, what is it, in other words, why have a ceremonial team now with the new degree where it's so easy just to plug and play, go to the website, watch it by video. In other words, what's in it for your council and you yourself? It creates, excellent. It creates a culture, and I underscore the word culture because it is. It's what our Knights, what we are. We're part of a culture in and of ourselves. It creates a culture of inclusion. In other words, if we have our team get together and practice the degree beforehand, we're actually including ourselves into the culture of the Knights, as well as we're admitting those new candidates into our councils by being there with them. It also makes it a performance at a social event. In other words, again, the team itself, and then the new members, and of course, the new members' families. A lot of them bring their spouses along, and we incorporated it into the ceremony. In fact, there was one guy that was going to make it his exemplification this past month, and he says, I can't make it. I said, why not? He said, well, my wife insists on being there. I said, oh, really? That's great. I said, you might think that's a negative, but that's actually a real positive, because now we're incorporating families into the ceremony. There's no more secrecy. That's a good thing. I really believe that's a very good thing, because I think a lot of times people would think joining the Knights of Columbus was kind of like the Masons, where there is secrecy. You know, I can see why getting out of that mindset is very positive. So anyway, another thing that's good about having it is it advances the first and second degree members already with their degrees. It advances them to their third degree. And who wants to do that by looking at a video, you know? So that's another thing. It reinforces the why we became Knights to begin with by having members that are, you know, that are already in our councils come and witness the ceremony itself. Now, this could certainly happen, I guess, with playing the video. But when you have a team performing it up there, and you have a half a dozen other brothers out in the seats watching and supporting the degree, standing when it's time to make the pledge. Everybody makes their pledge again. It reaffirms your knighthood as a Knight of Columbus. Let's see here. Let's see. It also allows you to provide ceremonial support to councils who don't yet have a team. Let's say they want to have one, they haven't gotten the members together to organize a team. Well, and this is actually the case in some of the councils in our state right now. They see the value of a live presentation, but they don't want to, I won't say go down to the point where just watch the video. So what they'll do is they'll find out from a neighboring council who does have a team, ask what their schedule is, and then they'll bring them to that venue when it's time, and they'll actually be exemplified in person. So kudos to councils like that. I know you haven't had your teams established yet, but you're trying. That's the important thing, is to try. And in the meantime, borrow. Utilize the charity and the unity of neighboring councils to fulfill that requirement for you. So that's a great thing. Finish up, yes, sir. All right, so we finish it up. Let's finish it up. The new Knight's going to remember it vastly more, in other words. And again, you can bring your spouse, family, and with you. And so where do our state districts currently stand? Well, we have the spectrum, the full spectrum from totally video, video to where I just mentioned, they borrow from a neighboring council, so they do a mixture sometimes. And then, of course, there's quite a number, and it's growing, fortunately, where the team does it totally. And it's either on a scheduled basis or as needed. That seems to be the case with a lot of councils here in our state, is as needed. So, but I think the value of having a scheduled one is where the other councils know that schedule, so they can borrow, they can piggyback off of you knowing your schedule. So bottom line, if you're, as was mentioned by our Supreme Knight, our new ECUF stays true to our traditions while addressing the needs of our times. And number two, if your council does not have an established team, start planning, start organizing and practicing. You know, even if you don't have any new members coming in, practice it. You'll get good really quickly. Your new knights and your spouses will be grateful you did.
Thank you very much, Rick. Okay, it's kind of like getting married in a church, right? You stand there in front of a whole bunch of people, take your vows. You will never forget that. You will never forget that. And then when you stand up in front of a church and you vow to be a Knight of Columbus and be under the lawful authority thereof, you're never going to forget that. Neither is your wife. Okay. All right. Our last portion of this is our district planning and our Delta Church Drive demonstration. So district trip planning, we're going to go over growth real. Well, I'm going to ask Charlie Ruiz to come up and talk about Hispanic growth. We'll see if we have time for e-membership. That'll all depend on how many questions you ask him. So Charlie, come on up and talk about the renewing of the Hispanic councils in the state.
So, thank you. Some of you already know me, some of you don't. I've been a member of the Knights for almost 20 years. I was inactive for 9. Reason why I was inactive for about, not 9, maybe 7 or 8, is because I never see any Knights working. I never see any of my brother Knights doing what we're supposed to do. So when I decided to join Knights again and be part of what we are, I had my goal in mind that I was going to show our faces. And it's not me, it's the Knights, the order. The order has been here for many, many years, almost 150 years. Or probably already here. And I'm only 46. So it's been here before me, and it probably be here when I'm gone. The problem we have right now, and going through the growth, is that we're not doing enough to keep the guys involved in our church. We're not doing enough to keep our guys involved in the programs, because we don't have new programs, because we don't have new events. We have to have, going with the what we just saw, the ECUF, that's what you call it. We have to adjust to the new members. Yes, we had different patterns, we had different outgrowings. I just had my boy that went to the Marines. He enlisted. I was part of the military, but I was son of a father that taught me how to earn my dollar since I was 5. And he taught me what was the value of a dollar, or a peso if you would say, because I'm Mexican. But he taught me what was the value of working, and working hard. Not only working, it's just working hard, valuing your time, valuing not only the time, but the tools you have. Meaning, every person in here is a tool for what we're doing. But we have to be used wisely. And used wisely is your time is valuable. So use your time wisely and use your tools, your assets as you should. I'm a tool for say, but I have anyone to come and approach me if they had any meetings, especially on the Spanish speaking. I never had it before, except for a couple brothers, brother Shane, who I really appreciate. Cody, you know that. Roy was the last seen me in work because I lost my mother in 2019. But John, Chuck, and most of you seen me. What we did and what we done is nothing to compare what we have planned yet. We had on June 31st, Puna was here. And I had a meeting with him. I never met him before, and he didn't like me. He didn't like me before he met me. And probably some of you don't like me before and won't like me afterwards. But I like to work hard, and I like to work with the spirit of, moving forward. What I planned on this is having the areas that I'm going to be working with open to succeed and open for enrollment, which means bringing more brother nights in. That means I need information of what we're doing, information of what we're going to be doing. But I like to have the information of you guys to keep you informed of what we're doing. I like to know what you guys are doing, but I like you to know what I'm doing and what I seen, the lack of things that I seen, and what I like to see in my community. Again, you are my community. You are Brother Knights, but I'm Hispanic, and I don't segregate or separate or divorce from you guys, from any. But it's just that the community that I serve with is the one that I will represent more, and I can understand more their culture, traditions, and a way of being. So yeah, we do things differently. But for this year though, I'm gonna be working. George asked me to work in Nampa and work in different places where it's needed. Burley, for example. But there's a lot more just than the growing and retention. Retention of a council is one thing, but I don't see myself doing retention of a council itself. What I'm trying to do and see, it's doing the retention of the brother night. Because a brother night will bring another brother night in. Our council be a council, and it's a number. But the council itself doesn't do anything because it doesn't move, it's just a number. But the brother night can do. And we all are brother nights. So the growth and retention doesn't really apply to the establishment itself, but it does to the people that it's in it. So that's what we have to focus on. The communication is first. Set a plan and schedule. And as mentioned, sometimes the ECOFs are done as needed, not as planned, as programmed, or scheduled. So our community works different ways and has different schedules to work. So we have to accommodate ourselves to the community itself too, and be more open to what ideas other people have. It might be a new brother night. I was a new brother night when Brian, Marty, and a couple of the brother nights went to St. Mary's. I was a knight for 9 years, but I was asleep at that time because I only participated in 2 events. I never got invited to a third one, nor I see anything happening at my church. So when we decided to wake up and start working, maybe my time is up. One more minute. I want to see more of my brother nights And we have a lot going on, and we have a lot. We've been doing a lot, even though I'm not participating as a state representative by any means. But I'm a Knight, and I will be a Knight. When I took my vow to say I'm a Knight, I decided I would be one. Any questions?
So you mentioned that it was important for us to have a relationship with you and to tell us what we know that the state is involved with. At the same time, you're going to be telling us what yourself and your community are involved in so that we can try and find common ground and work together.
Yes.
In addition to that, what else can we be doing for you to help make that transition or that relationship stronger?
Facilitate 100 info, which is the whatever information you have of any candidates, any members that are active or not active anymore. I like to speak to them.
Okay.
So that'll be the first the first step to do anything really.
Okay.
Because I'm going blindfolded to a war, and many of you men are men of law enforcement or military, and that's not the case. You have to know the info before you go in.
Okay, thank you.
So Our Lady of Valley in Caldwell, about 65% Hispanic.
Yes.
We're a fairly large parish, but it's a farming community mentality as well. And we, there is a natural divide, between the two, only because of the Spanish masses and you have the English masses, and they're well attended by both. And yet we can't make a whole lot of headway into the Hispanic community when it comes to Knights. And we've tried, but it just, we join their fiestas and we celebrate, we participate, but we just don't have that connection.
Yeah. No, what happens is, and I spoke with many of you before, but I'm gonna tell you a little story. Maybe I go over the time, but Shane, Mike Townsend, and probably John went to one of our meetings at St. Mary's. I was that Grand Knight over there.
Yes.
And I didn't spoke a word in English. And he told me what he felt. That I was ignoring, not that I was ignoring him in a purpose, but it's just that what our community feels the same way. It's not about being divided or being in the different council. What it is that our language, and I could be speaking English with you. I never went to school to learn it. I learned it on the streets. So my line of work, I know my English from my line of work, but I don't know the language from a advocate, from a lawyer, from any doctor. I don't know the language, but I do understand my culture though.
Are you willing to help councils though that have this?
That's what I just said. I need your information, what is it that you need, and I'll be more than glad to help you and willing to put my time and effort to do what's needed.
Well, before we go on, what I hear from Charlie is we're just starting. We're feeling our way through this, okay? So you talk to him, he'll talk to you. We'll talk to each other. We're gonna work through this, okay? We're just getting it started.
Well, and George, just to summarize what you just said, we have to tie some new knots and we have to untie some others.
Right.
I mean, there are some knots that are out there that through no fault of anyone, they just happen.
Right.
And we have to discover them and untie them so that we can be free. And that's going to be very important for us moving forward.
Two more comments. One will be Skip, one will be James.
I heard you say that we have a language barrier. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I go to all the St. Mary's meetings and I sit there and shake my head and I do this and I do that. And I didn't understand but about 6 words the whole night.
Yeah.
And I know they're not ignoring me, but I know it's a language barrier, and that's how we got to work through that. And you hit it right off the hand. You learned it on the street, but you didn't learn it at a lawyer's conference. You didn't learn it even in the book of.
I didn't learn the real hard, research words. I didn't learn that.
Yeah.
I know how to communicate. I've been communicating with you for 5 minutes, but I don't know some of the or selected words.
That's the thing what we nailed it down to.
Okay. Now, Shane, you got the last
Yes,
one.
and thank you, Charlie. Charlie's gonna be starting some old councils, trying to get them back going. And it's a great resource to call for help if you need help with the Spanish. And this is where the big thing is, the Spanish councils and English councils. No, there's not. There's English-speaking councils and there's Spanish-speaking councils. Don't matter what damn color you are. And so when I was district deputy at 4013, I asked and they provided somebody to sit by me and they let me know, they'd stop and let me catch up. And I'd get the questions asked, sometimes in English, sometimes in Spanish. But what we're looking at is not, again, maybe it's a stupid point in my head. Spanish-speaking councils, English-speaking councils. If you don't know what the difference is, go to a Spanish mass and see whether or not you understand what's going on, or whether you play sheep and try to say the same thing the guy next to you is saying. That's the difference.
Can I
That's the
buy
difference.
2 more minutes? One more minute.
Two more minutes, but we gotta move on.
Yeah. So thing is, going back on that comment, thank you, brother. You know that I really appreciate all the comments. Growing in a way, it's not only growing in numbers, and it's not growing in councils. That's not the meaning of it. Growing in a way in myself is, I just said, I learned English in on the streets. I had to grow. I had to grow to be a man. I've been on the streets by myself, not because I wanted to. My dad passed away when I was 12. So I've been out on the streets looking out for myself since I'm 12. And I did good things, bad things. But I was a kid. I had to grow. I didn't have no one to lead me. So I had to lead myself. But what we're doing here, we have a lot of leaders over here that have been doing and serving office for a long time. But what we don't see is that we're forming leaders for the new generation still.
I hear you.
And we have to grow in the order, we have to build and form new leaders. We're gonna be here for a while, but we want them to stay when we're gone.
That is beautiful.
So that's what we have to do.
Okay.
Thank you,
That's- What we just heard Charlie say was, he's here. He said, you think of him as a tool, I think of him as a resource. When you want some answers, come to Charlie. When you want some help, come to Charlie, okay? All right, now I'd like you to take your packages that you got. You didn't get one? Got one. Is it here? Here.
I didn't qualify.
All right. Open up the package. Who would give one of these to, Charlie? Yeah, Charlie. All right, everybody.
A present. You wanna open this? You know what's in it. Go ahead.
Who all didn't get one? Charlie. Charlie. And that's you. This is the Spanish one. Okay. All right.
Does anybody else need these? Brian Johnson needs them.
All right. Share with them. All right. All right. So in your DD package, we gave you 2 things for DDs only. Although they have a few other people I want to see it. First, you got your fraternal plan. This is tremendous. This is where you're going to write down where you're going to be. But it's got so many resources in it. Anybody wants to know what it takes to get to be a Star Council? There it is. You want to know what it takes to be a Star Assembly? There it is. Right there on page 3. Let's go on to in Star District. Keep in mind, you don't just have to get a Founders Award to get your Star Council. Your Star Council has to have the 2 Founders Awards, or the 2 FBDs to get the Founders Award. So you have to have 50% of your councils. If your council or if your district is 3 councils, 2 of them have got to get the Founders Award. That's work. Okay? All right, next page is the suggested 4 and 5. That's the suggested planning calendar. This is when to order stuff. Okay? When to talk to your councils about this, that, and the other thing. Paul, don't you have one of these? Paul, what the heck?
I'm not a district deputy.
Yeah, well, you're the program guy. I mean, you're the membership guy. I need another one. No, I don't need that. None left. All right, good. We gave them all out.
Spanish.
No, I'm okay. All right. All right, so I have my own planner. Next is page 6. Page 6 is like an SP7. This is only good for the Grand Night and the financial secretary, whoever's in the council. You guys have this now for your district. Now I'm going to borrow this. Okay. This is your star council checklist. Hang the darn thing up in your council chambers. Each Grand Night or financial secretary has gotten one of these. They got in a package with a lot more stuff than you got. Go to the council, ask them where it is, hang it on the wall, fill it out. It's got the faith, family, community, and life. Just four events each. The SP7 can be done by January. Easy. Most of the councils in Idaho probably do enough in the first half of the year to earn the Columbian Award. It's just a matter of doing it. And what somebody was saying, you forget. Write it down right when you're there. If you're sitting in a meeting waiting for your chance to talk as the district deputy, write down on your version of this. Okay. Now in your folios, and if you didn't get a folio, worthy state warden, could you hand out these packages to all the district deputies that didn't get one, and also the state officers? All right. This is everything you need to do to become a star council. Just hang it up, fill it out as you go. There's check marks as they turn in their forms. There you go. Put one to each council. Yes, sir.
Message from.
I don't know what that means.
You guys can that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Safe environment. We talked about that a lot. Remember, we only had 24 councils that were fully compliant. Here are the people that need to get it. It's on page 7. This talks about more about it. Okay. Then I move on to page 11. You can put down the dates for your different meetings, but what's even better than that, planning your church drive on page 12. Get your grand nights and your membership directors in your councils to think about this. Fraternal benefits events on page 13. Plan them out, and this shows you the steps you need to take to get a successful fraternal benefits event. This thing is gold. Page 14. This is the first month. Okay. And what I'd like to know, and I think Chuck would like to know, is when do you need me or Chuck or both of us to come to your district to help your councils? This is what we're going to do. I've got my time blocked out in July and August. I'm available the rest of the time. If you're a district deputy, you got the district deputy communications from me. You know the dates that I'm available. So we can plan that out now when you want me to come. But before we do that, basically, if you look on the right-hand side on page 15, it tells you things to accomplish, planning ahead. This makes it really easy. This is a really great resource. I got to admit, when I write the district deputy talking points, I often pull this thing out and look at it. All right. So now let's look through your packet. In your folio, there was there was a packet of some handouts, okay? It's in your folio. Should be tucked away.
I got it.
Okay. All right. It ends on a pink page, all right? All right. First is the fraternal benefits seminar reporting form. Okay? All you gotta do is fill out your council number, the date it was hosted, how many were in attendance, and the Grand Knight signs it. And then, who does he submit this to? Who can tell me? Who does Grand Knight submit it to, Trey?
Grand Night goes on the Supreme website.
Very good. Now, the only thing is that the general agent might not believe that you had 73 guys at your fraternal benefits event or whatever it was, and so he can reject it. Take a picture. You take a picture, whatever. Point is, you turn it in. We don't have to go chasing people anymore. We don't have to run after Trey and Paul and Andrew and all the other guys and try to get it tracked down and send it in 2 or 3 times. Now the Grand Knight sends it in, and within 7 business days, is it? Of the fraternal benefit. Okay. Next up is your Columbian Award. Okay. Here's page 1. Here's page 2. That's just like what you have, but it's in more detail than what was in your planner. Take one of these. You're a district deputy. Take this, put it in a copier, copy one for each one of your councils. When you're sitting at the meeting waiting for your turn, fill it out. Okay? Fill this out for each one of your councils. Talk to them afterwards and say, how are you doing on your SP7? Really, what you're encouraging them to do is do it for themselves. And if they haven't filled it out, when you come back the next time, ask them if they've added that event that you talked to them about. Teach them how to do their paperwork. I guarantee you guys can get these guys through their SP7s in a short period of time. Half a year probably. I actually, by accident, got 2 Columbians in your package, so you don't have to make a whole lot of copies. Last year I gave you 1 for each council. All right, we're going to be going over this summer activity. A lot of our councils shut down in the summer, but Max and Nick and I forget who else. Okay, yeah. We've got these ideas for summer activities that even just one night could run for the council. That would be really great. Community activities, family activities. These are things you guys can do with just a few nights. Well, there's some of them are big. I mean, University Procession takes a lot of people. So from little to small, and it's also the first article in your newsletter this month that comes out. Next up is just a reminder: the annual survey of fraternal activity. Activity. That needs to be done by what is it? The end of January. So don't wait till the end of January to do this, please. Do this as your, the beginning of January. This is, the next one is something that should have been turned in before. It's the 185.
Yes.
185. You didn't need to. You can do that tomorrow at your table, but whatever. If you want to hand it on now, that's fine.
Oh, it's the same one.
All right. And finally, we got the semi-annual audit. This is the first one of these is due right away. Like, isn't it July 15th?
August
15th. Okay. All right, I got the date. Sorry. But anyway, so I got them for you. This is for you. When you're going through your packet, you can remember to talk to your councils about it. Finally, I got the Form 365. Now the 365 and 185. 365 is program personnel. 185 is the council officers. They should have been turned in by June 30th. if any of your councils haven't turned it in yet, please get them to. They do not have to be complete to be turned in, okay? I turned in the Form 365 for the state. If you think there's a lot here, you should see what they want the state to have, okay? I did not fill every slot. I there's some things there that are maybe for bigger states, I don't know. But anyway, point is, turn it in. Can you turn it in again when you get another director or you lose somebody? Yes. Can you, if an officer resigns, can you turn it again? Yes. Okay. So, but get it turned in. All right. I'd like to talk to you about your goals.
So just one question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Is number 36, the flying squirrel, is that sanctioned by PETA?
Now, this is something you're going to need to talk to when you go to the family table. This is tantalizing, okay? Now, there may be some things on there I don't even know, but he knows.
Okay.
So that's what you do. You go around the tables, you ask your questions. All right?
Thank you.
So that's that tantalize you to show up tomorrow bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Oh, man. Oh. When is it gonna end? Okay. All right. What time? 2:52. 2:52. Okay, we got some time. I would like every district deputy to think about what are your goals for your coming year. Just take about 5 minutes. Are you going to be a star district? Or maybe you're more concerned about your council. Are you going to have a star council? Are you going to resurrect a council that's just suffering? Are you going to get a council that hasn't recruited anybody for a year or two, or maybe longer, to get a recruit? How are we going to go about doing that? If your councils aren't safe environment compliant, what steps are you going to take? Do you want to get all your councils to be safe environment compliant? What about founders awards? Are you going to get which councils are going to get a founders award? Think about this, okay? Now, I'll stop talking. Go ahead and think about all your councils. Write down some goals that you have for your councils. And at the end, what is your goal for your district? We're here to help you get to your goal. You're there to help your council get to their goal. The council's goal is to help the members get to their goals. No matter whether it's Hispanic, English, Swahili. Paul.
I have a quick question. Do we make Pinnacle of Honor?
We made Pinnacle of Honor. As far as I know, we were overly over the top on everything except for the number of councils that held a membership drive. We were required to get 31. We got 31. That's because one district didn't have any drives. That was an all-star district. They didn't need any. They all made star without having to do a drive.
That's like waving the tail.
If you don't know how he did it, talk to him. Exactly.
You're good.
Yeah, Paul.
When's our next telephone conference for the state?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Is that tomorrow?
No. I want to change it. I'm unhappy with when the telephone call is. We had to move, I think that fourth week call got moved around also 50% of the time. We need to change it. Sorry. How are we doing? Does everybody have some of their goals written down? Goals for your councils? You know, we gave you this, you already were using the old capital, got that pretty soon. Got stuff to write on. Did you get a chance to see what was in there, John? Did you get one of these?
I think I got one that's financial center. No, I didn't get that. I think I
Did you
got
get one of
it.
these, Chuck?
Yes, sir. Center for Term Benefits is a financial center.
All right. All right, let's see. Is there anyone here that would like to volunteer what your goals were for your 3 or 4 or 7 councils? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like councils to participate in all award programs. I'm not so concerned that they win an award, but that they participate in it so that it's received. Second thing is I want them to develop roundtables in all the councils and increase officer training and develop their exemplification team. Each council is developing an exemplification.
Each council?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Thing of beauty. All right. You pull all that off. You're gonna be doing your council a big favor.
Yeah.
All right, very nice. Anybody else have anything different? Chuck or Shane? Oh, what the heck? Sorry, Chuck.
He's gonna be very cross with you.
Shane, please.
All 4 councils star.
Oh, man, there you go. All 4 councils.
Which the next one kind of falls about on space environment. Compliant. One to have the other.
Okay.
All possible roundtables documented. That's my little paperwork turned in. And the far reaching one would be possibly a new council.
What's that?
Possibly a new council.
New council or a resurrected council, depends. Are you gonna take 16, 7, 57? All right, new council. Wow. You're just trying to one up Brian. Okay, all right. Anybody else have, want to volunteer some of your thoughts?
I have mostly the same thoughts when I said all stars. I'm telling myself, and you too, that I gotta start early, remind often and follow up all the way through.
Start early, that sounds like, I remember Chuck talking about that. Remind often? Yep. Okay, let me see if I can get my state advocate to say, how many times do you need to remind somebody of something?
Well, according to Menton House, 7 times.
7 touches.
That's what they say.
And
That was developed in 1895 in school day.
one thing you need to know about the 7 touches, 7 touches from the same means, like 7 phone calls, isn't nearly as effective as a text and a phone call and in person and an email. the more different ways you touch them, the much more likely they are to remember. Okay, remind often, and what was the last one?
Follow up.
Follow up until done. That's awesome.
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. That's why we gave you those planners.
You know, the Marine Corps had the 5 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
I
like that. 6 Ps.
All right. All right, very good. Anybody else? Corey?
I just have a few.
Okay.
With Holy Apostles, they, there's a lot of complaints that when they have their events and activities, they get so few turnout. Well, I asked them how many activities they scheduled throughout the fraternal year, and they reported 42, which is fine, except they have so many and they're so diverse that it's no wonder nobody can attend them all and get a good number. So I'm challenging them to reduce or focus their number of activities from 42 to say 32. So focus the activities to engage the parish or to engage the member, more so rather than just have, every single member has something that they like to do, try and get some reduction of that. So then I also challenge them.
Wait a minute, I want to make a point about that. That's called sunset law, If a program isn't getting very many people to it anymore, time to get rid of it. It may kill the person that really loves it in their heart. But it's not good to try to do too many things.
Well, that's exactly what
we
can't do it all.
You can't do it all. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're gonna do something, get a home run.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
that will
a
help
big event.
more in membership than having a bunch of second bases.
That's right. Okay, second thing is?
So the next thing that I'd like to do is grow and mentor our next leaders, but it's not the leaders that you're thinking about. It's like who's going to lead the dining room when it comes to a pancake breakfast, or who's going to lead the kitchen when it comes to cooking the fish fry. I have so many councils too that do a lot of those activities. When it comes to, we need these leaders like program chairs or program directors that the same people that have been doing them can barely stand, or they can't even fold the silverware anymore.
That's a big problem in volunteer organizations. Guys don't know when to let go.
So the next thing that I want to do is grow leadership, but not in the leaders that we're thinking about. Not necessarily the next Grand Knight or district deputy, but the leaders of like program.
Exactly.
And then the last thing is bring about structured socials and a fraternal environment. So, kind of going off of what the Worthy State Advocate was saying with respect to keeping your workers happy and satisfied is to balance work and play. So that you don't have a Johnny that is just like, they're always working, but they don't feel like they're getting any playtime.
Okay, thank you. And so structured socials, that's especially true of some of the councils, especially true of councils don't have any. All right, guys. Any council here want to stick your neck out and say you're going to go star for the whole district? Okay, District 7. 6. 3.
4. We made it. 4.
10. Okay. 5. Did I see 4? All right.
Add that up. You're the mathematician.
District 1, you're gonna struggle with 2 councils. You can get Faith, the founders. District 2. I bet you could work the Blackfoot and make it. District 8. Pat Schlangen.
Grangeville and Cottonwood, yeah, not so much, but Lewiston has no excuse, but I think Lewiston, I'll commit for Lewiston, Max commit this, Lewiston should be a star council within the.
You don't think Cottonwood can manage the Founders Award?
Yeah, the Founders possibly.
So are you gonna be a star district?
You could do.
You're
I
gonna
have
help,
other
remember,
goals that are-
you're not in this by
Everybody's
yourself. We'll be up there to help you if you want.
And you're gonna be on my list, you're already on my list of
course.
all I need to get.
Of course I am. I'll get up there. All right, anybody else?
Partner.
District 9 can't speak for himself, he's not here.
Yeah,
Put him up there.
We're so close, so we can fight tomorrow, right, man?
As soon as you lose,
Okay. All right. Now, I thought I heard 2 of you say you might make All-Star. Any takers for All-Star? Four. District 4?
No, District 6.
District 6. What about District 7?
Sure.
Repeat again, huh? All right.
What's the difference between a star and all-star?
Gotta have all your numbers go star.
George, I only know.
I know. Oh, well, that's
He
fine.
wants to repeat it last year.
Boy, that, last year was a repeat of the year before.
I know.
That's pretty amazing. Yes, Pat.
You can commit District 9 and I'll take the package up and get ahold of Brian and drop it off. So you just write whatever commitments you want for him on his.
Oh, Brian, you know, don't ever not show up, okay?
Yeah, you're on our list.
All right.
But that's my way of telling you, I can drop this package off next
Got
week. I guess I think we're gonna be going through Moscow, so.
Thank you. All right, excellent. All right, guys. So you've written it down. It's been recorded in the minutes. We will be up there to help you when you want, when we can get it, when you want to. That works out between the two of us. For the last little bit, are there any questions or any comments about this?
What was the difference between Star and All-Star District?
Star District has 1 star council, turns in their 944 by at least, no later than the due date. That's the evaluation of all your councils, and 50% of the councils or more get the founders award.
Okay.
They also have a quota, a membership quota, but if you get a star council, you're almost always.
If all your councils are star, you hit your membership.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think Brian was at 200.
Is there still a safe environment compliance?
Yeah, to be star, you're gonna have to have a safe environment. Is there
All your councils safe environment?
is that, I know somebody look at it and see.
Not for Star, Roy. Not for Star.
Star District?
No.
What do you need, 50%?
It's on the front, it's on page 3,
It's,
right?
I don't think there's any
Open
verbiage in
report,
there at
page
all.
3.
Oh,
Star, I got it here. Star District, membership, insurance, overall district excellence. Doesn't say anything about safe environment.
No
You're
safe
not gonna
environment.
make safe environment unless you got a star council.
Well,
the
George,
other
if
way
you
around.
had the same personnel as last year and they did the safe environment, and it's good for 3 years, then aren't you already qualified for this?
Kinda, sorta. To see that it's like radioactive atoms. We don't really remember when we took it. It can expire. Yes, they will tell you, but you can't. You know.
Does Ken have that information?
Well,
I do
kind
not.
of.
I have to request it.
Hopefully with the new system.
Hopefully.
It would be really nice to know that in the middle of April, somebody's gonna lose their safe environment status. You know, that would really help.
I can get it for you as of the first part of May.
Really fast turnover.
As of the first part of May of this year, I can tell you everybody who is currently safe environment when they expire.
Oh, really?
Take me a little time to get it, but I
Can you
can
get
get
that to our state? Oh, thank you, Chuck. That would be such a big deal.
it. That was one of the things that I put out every week for my region last year, was a listing of every single council and why they weren't compliant and when they expired, if it was gonna be this year.
We're so lucky to have you.
And my report's gonna show who my individual isn't safe environment compliant by the name.
All right.
So I'll send that out to you guys.
Yeah,
You
go
don't
ahead.
have to wait for it to expire. Take it over.
No. Take it.
You do
Learn
that on
something.
your
It's
Facebook.
free.
It's gonna take 2 hours to get down.
All right. We know the answers to the 2-year basis.
Our stuff stay in this room, good night.
All right, we'll see you, Skip.
I'll
Thank
see you
you.
in church.
See you at church, all right. This is a big box of a drive kit. Now, I just talked to you about the Delta Church Drive. What you get, packing slip, the did you know cards that you can put in the pews if the priest lets you. Well, what's really good is to get those little golf pencils and put one on each side of the pew so people can find them as they go in. The Y joins, you put those at the ends of the pews also if the priest lets you. This is Holy Family prayer card. Okay, well, there's different versions of this. You can get the McGivney prayer cards, or you can, if you've handed out McGivney and Holy Family a few times, go ahead and order some other prayer cards. And Charlie, back there, we've got a Hispanic drive chair kit ready to go. Same stuff, just in Spanish, completely in Spanish. These things are free. You can order up to 2 from Supreme for free. Okay. I just happen to have not like Chuck, I only have a back car full. So if you need me to come up and help you with the drive, I can do that at a moment's notice, okay? And as a matter of fact, I really worried, could you have these out? Maybe this would be a good closing prayer. Okay. All right, so what you do is when people are coming into church, you hand them a card. It's the easiest thing. You teach your guys how to do this. Teach the Grand Knight, teach the membership director, and then he teaches his membership team. How many people are on a membership team? 3, 4, whatever. Somebody that gives a pulpit talk. Talk to the priest. You got to make sure the priest is willing to say something. Well, he doesn't have to, but it would be really nice if the priest says something. All right. Now, when you're handing the card to somebody, what do you say?
Hi.
Hello. That's fine, but what happened
the Knights of Columbus?
Okay, so Corey will say, please accept this on behalf of the Knights of Columbus. All right, that's a good way to hand somebody that. What else does anybody else say?
Prayer cards compliments of the Knights of Columbus.
A prayer card compliments of the Knights of Columbus. That's a good one. Another one is this is a gift from the Knights of Columbus. It's a holy card from the Knights of Columbus to you. Prayer card, a gift of the Knights of Columbus to you. You all have your own way of saying it. You may not say it the same way twice. Okay, yeah, he's getting set up for the drive actually. So this is the real basic part of it. What happens is they get the prayer card. They know it's from the Knights of Columbus. They can't help it if they flip it over. There's the Knights logo. They may read the prayer, which is a nice prayer. Now they're praying, and they're thinking about it. And if the wife and the husband went to mass together, the wife might be elbowing the husband, saying, "You said you were going to join that thing 2 years ago." Anyway, then there's the Y join. If it's sitting there at the end of the pew, they can find out more information about it if they're not familiar with the Knights, which we found out this weekend a lot aren't. Here's the really short "Did you know" thing. They can fill out a little information about themselves. You can take that and help them fill out their online form immediately. By the way, there are now more people joining the Knights by a slight number through the e-membership than through 4100. And it's just getting mushroom. It's the more every year more and more members are coming to e-membership. Idaho, I'm not 100% sure of this, but we are right at the top of conversion rate. Our conversion rate is about 80% of people that join as an e-member become a member of a council that year. Usually it's that month or two, okay? The average across the order is 60%. So we've been consistently hitting right around 80, high 70s, okay? That's really important. John Kershaw is the best online membership director, I think, the order has. He gets a hold of them within a day, unless he's on vacation, which isn't all that often. He actually, if it's not clear what council, because they didn't say, he figures out by looking at maps which council they're closest to. Calls the person and says, do you go to this church or that church? You know, he talks to them. Usually within a day of when they click yes. Okay, so the process is really simple. When they're on their way out, they show their phone to your QR code. Can you now hand out QR codes to district deputies? District deputies, tell them how many you want. Chuck got us how many? Was it 200 or 100?
Whatever you ordered, I don't know.
I think it was 200. Anyway, hand out to the district deputies and anybody else that wants one. But if you're a district deputy, at least get one or two, get a couple for each council. Okay, get several. Get a handful. These things are great because they take you straight to kfc.org/join. If you don't have your QR code and somebody doesn't have their phone, you can whip out your phone. Type kfc.org/join or just
Put your flashlight on so you can find it in the dark. It may be the same.
That happens when I put it there. Anyway, all right. So you go to kfc.org and join is a great big button that comes up. Click on that, wait, it can take 5 seconds. And there they are. And they can fill it out right then and there. It takes 5 minutes. Maybe. There's somebody said, but if they got a wife and they got a kid in swaddling clothes or whatever, by the time the wife has the kid in the car seat, the guy's signed up. Okay, that's how quick it is. Where's the membership? Yeah. Don't forget. And so it's still free if you use Blessed McGivney. The coupon code sits there. All you got to do is swipe across it, and it goes from 30 to 0. Some of you know how to make a shortcut.
I have
okay,
a
just a
question
second.
on
John was first. Then we'll go to you, John.
As financial secretary, if I get a Form 100 now, I call that person up and try to convince them to join online because it's faster, it's easier, and it's safer.
Yeah, it's all those things. It is so superior to come in as an e-member. And I'll tell you, we get, as the state membership director, the state deputy, and the state online membership director, we get notified if somebody comes in as an e-member. If it comes in as a Form 100, it could take weeks, months. We don't even know. And a lot of I just skipped. Had a council that brought 7 guys in with Form 100, 12-531 St. Mary's. 2 of them were accepted after 3 weeks. Huh. The other 5, one was a transfer. The rest of them, we went to great conniptions. I mean, I scanned them and I put them in Word and I did everything I could to bring out the signatures because they weren't the front page. That they were very light, you could almost not see them. Got to the point where we could turn them in, but there was a lot of missing information, like what city is the council in, what's the council number, and he went and he had to contact a couple of them to get, what is your actual address? I can't read this, So we managed to get all but one of them in last year. All right.
This is for my information because the financial secretary is supposed to take care of it. But when the person goes online and joins the Knights of Columbus, he still goes through exemplification with the council, right?
That's the only way to get in the council.
Okay, but how does the council notify the Supreme that he has been accepted by the council?
Membership tab.
The what?
The membership tab.
Financial
Or the prospect tab.
Prospect.
Sorry, prospect tab.
So if they sign up, if they give you a Form 100, the financial secretary enters that information into the candidate tab.
Right.
And then after they do the ceremony, we click a button and they go from a candidate to a third degree member. If they signed up as an e-member, they show up under membership management for a financial secretary as a prospect on the prospect tab. And their name, hopefully there. And then after they go through the ceremony, we push a button and that puts them in your council. And then the financial secretary still has to go in like a day later and record their second and third degree dates. I don't know why Supreme hasn't made that so it's automatic, but you still have to do that.
Okay.
Before you can.
I understand
Before they show up
now.
as a third degree on their membership card.
Take over now. Go ahead. John Thurston has a question.
Just one thing on the e-members. We had a member who was lost for 4 months because their email was put in incorrectly. And it took 7 or 8 calls to Supreme and all kinds of things. We finally got it straightened out. Thank goodness they stuck around. But if you don't put council numbers, you don't put referral numbers, make sure the email is correct, because if they send an email and it doesn't go to anybody, it dies right there.
Okay.
There's a couple of different ways to protect yourself from some of the problems we're finding with signing people up online. When you're talking to a guy, ask them, can you get your email on your phone right now? If they say yes, that makes it really easy, because their verification is going to come as soon as you hit the submit button. You might have to wait a minute. So have them pull their email up and verify it. Then you're done. Another way, when you're signing somebody up online, get their name, their phone number, and their email address on a piece of paper, on a prospect card, on. Yeah. On the back.
Yeah.
Because then you can contact them. Otherwise, it's up to New Haven to contact them and get them engaged. Well, they didn't recruit them, you did. So get the name and phone number so you can call up. Oh, man, we don't see your number yet. Did you run into any issues? Something I can help with. That's also a value, the only real value of the paper form 100. Fill it out, because that makes sure you've got all the information for the online, but you've also got a paper record for the financial secretary.
Yeah.
So that's the only real value of the Form 100 at this point.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways that you can protect yourself against some of the issues that come up. The other thing is, double check before you hit submit, guys. We had a whole bunch of, and it caused much hate and discontent across the region because somebody from Florida joined an Alaskan council. Because it wasn't Council 3107, it was Council 3108. And they said, I want to join, I live in this town, I go to this parish, and I put the wrong council number in. About half the guys you talk to don't know their council number. It's Nampa's council? Yeah, I know. What's the number? It's in Nampa. Almost nobody knows their membership number.
That's for sure.
What?
So first 3 numbers.
That's not useful. Thank you, though.
306-3232.
See, there you go.
413-1290.
There you go.
Same number of digits as the telephone.
350.
I know my, no.
So, guys, there's lots of ways to get around it. Don't hurry. When you're doing a church drive, it doesn't hurt to get name, phone number, email address. When you're doing a church drive, if you've got one planned out, the one we're going to tonight isn't really planned out, maybe offer a raffle. When you do your pulpit announcement, everybody who signs up with us tonight, we're going to put your name in for a $25 gift certificate at Lowe's or at Walmart or whatever. People sign up for a gift card all over the place, and then we can go back and talk to them. So there's lots of different tools that you can use to engage people, give you an opportunity to talk to them. The other thing is, on your church drives, promote what you do, because that's what guys are going to join. They're not going to join 48 million hours or $175 million. They're going to join Codes for Kids, putting a wheelchair ramp in at the widow's house, food for families, helping the parish. So emphasize what you do in your councils, because that's what guys are going to join. And have in your brain all the time recruiting. I was at a sheriff's office or a picnic. They had a non-denominational chaplain, gave a prayer beforehand. And one of the guys down the end of the prayer goes like this, I didn't know you were Catholic. Because nobody else does the sign of a cross but us. And the next year he was our warden. So Shane and I went over to Men's Warehouse, and the guy we was talking to wanted to know, what are you doing this for? And I think I'm in the Knights of Columbus. Dude had pictures of priests and everything else. Yeah, dude, you're not in the Knights of Columbus. So when I went and picked up my suit, I signed him up online. Have it in your head all the time to recruit.
Chuck, I got a question for you.
Sir.
All right, so we gave them the cards.
Gave
They-
who the cards?
The guys going into the church and the ladies.
And the kids.
And the kids. Kids like to play with them. And then we had, then the priest said mass, there was a pulpit talk. The priest said, hey, you guys should join the Knights. The people are leaving. What do we say to them?
Every guy who comes out, what do you know about the Knights? Would you like some more information about the Knights? What can I tell you about the Knights? Or have your the business card with your council number, your proposer number, and your contact information on the back of it. Can I give you this? So then if something in their head trickles at 3:00 in the morning and they decide to sign up, they've got a council number and your proposal number. Don't ask them if they want to join. Ask them if they want to come to an event. Come see what we do. Come meet our guys. And then we can engage them into joining. But if we ask everybody, do you want to join the Knights as they're trying to beat the Baptists to Cracker Barrel for breakfast on a Sunday morning, we ain't gonna win. So we've got to engage them quickly. Colorado a couple of years ago, very, very successful. They had a pulpit announcement. They gave cards to everybody who came in. That's all. Next week, they had a pulpit announcement. They gave a different card to everybody who came in. Third week, they had a pulpit announcement or a bulletin announcement, did a pulpit announcement, handed a third card out, got a whole bunch of people all over the state. Because multiple touches on multiple venues. And so they were able to get their message out. So there's lots of variations of what this looks like. What if Father says you can't hand stuff out because nobody pays attention to the sermon? You think Father doesn't see it up there when we're going, Dominic, no, you're not. Reading the bulletin, whatever. So then we don't hand them out beforehand. We hand them out after. That's okay. We don't. I'm the only one who does pulpit announcements. Is this something that you can say? Say something. Can you say something nice about the Knights? Now, if Father doesn't know us and we don't know him, he ain't gonna say nothing nice about the Knights. One thing we've come up with. I don't want you doing a membership drive in the church. Why? Because if I let you, I have to let everybody else. And I don't want everybody who comes to church every week being assaulted by somebody to join something because people stop coming to church. So what's the solution? Father, what if we planned a ministry fair where all of the organizations could get together and do all of their membership drives at once? Yeah, you can do that. Father, what if we set up a booth at a big festival that the parish already has? Would that be okay? Yeah, you can do that. So don't get all Twitter painted up. George said we got to do one, and if we don't do it, it's going to be mad, and that's going to be terrible. Figure out a way around it. Find out. Father, can I ask why? Because quite often, a lot of times the pastor doesn't want to be the chaplain of the council. Why? Because he's got to be chaplain of everybody else's organization too. Okay. Thank you, Father. Appreciate it. Do you have any suggestions? Maybe there's a retired priest. Maybe there's ways around. We have to set up a relationship with our priests, with our pastors, and the responsibility lies on us. So if Father says, don't do that, don't do that. Find an alternative. And if he says no, then figure out a different way to do it. Do it at your pancake breakfast. Do it at your Lenten or your fish fries. Do it at the parish picnic. Be membership active all the time. Have it in your mind. Any questions, comments, concerns? Sound like fun? Can be. We had a really good one in Caldwell a couple of years ago. Yes, sir.
On the chaplain issue, for many years, Risen Christ could not get a priest to be a chaplain. What we did instead was, because we had a deacon that was there regularly, we appointed him as spiritual advisor. Of course, he doesn't get reported on the officer's chosen report. He can't sign for anything as chaplain, but yet we still got that spiritual message every month through him and had some direction there.
Excellent workaround.
But yeah, deacons cannot be chaplains.
And so, Father, can we put your name on the form? No. Okay. Then workaround. In fact, the second council started, their priest did not like, Father McGivney, did not like the Knights of Columbus and did not want one in his parish. However, at the time, they had to have a chaplain. So they got another priest from a parish in the same town to be their chaplain. The second council on the order had to have a workaround to get a chaplain. This ain't new. We got the same problems we had 150 years ago.
Thank you. Okay, couple things and then we're out of here, right? Time we get about an hour to be over there. The church drive starts at 4:30. If you haven't handed out cards before, please make sure that you're there to hand out to get the experience so you can teach people how to do it. And most of us have been here, we've done it before. It really works. Okay, keep that in mind. Number 2, Mass is at 5. The Knights process out at 6. You complete the church drive at 6:15-ish. The officer installations 5 minutes later. That'll include all the district deputies and all the new state officers, which is 2. But the district deputies, I think we might just run right through. We got 5 guys getting installed. That's almost all of you. When you realize there's a couple people, there's one at least missing. Then dinner's at 6:40 in the Faith Hall. Yes, not the cafeteria. That's at 6:40. At 7:45, Father Francis will speak about building a church over in Africa with the help of one of our council. At 8 o'clock, there's a short program. And appreciation, honors, and awards. You want to be there for that. And at 8:45 back here, we'll have the hospitality. Okay?
Got one more thing, if I may, on the church
Please
drive.
do.
I've been at church drives all over the region where it was like ducks on a June bug. Everybody goes backs around this one guy and he's going, you. One person for one person. If somebody's already talking to somebody else, stay away from them. Don't pile up on people because you scare him away. Let the guy, if he doesn't get him, he doesn't get him. That's okay. But if Roy's talking to somebody, let Roy talk to somebody. Don't come over and help. Don't stand by and correct what he's saying. Just let him do his. And Trey does his, and Corey does his, and they're all going to be different, and they're all okay, and we're not going to get everybody, and that's okay too, because we're going to plant seeds.
And I would now like to ask the worthy Stidborn to lead us in the family prayer.
Yeah, I suggest we do the family prayer.
Really?
That guy's got the attention.
That's right, I'm telling you. He's see how it's straight to the top.
He's good. He's good.
All right. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
In you contemplates the splendor of true love. To you we turn with trust. Holy Family of Nazareth, grant that our families too may be places of communion and prayer, authentic schools of the gospel, and small domestic churches. Holy Family of Nazareth, may families never again experience violence, rejection, and division. And all who have been hurt or scandalized find ready comfort and healing. Holy Family of Nazareth, make us once more mindful of the sacredness and inviolability of the family. and its beauty in God's plan. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, graciously hear our prayer. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If anybody has room for two going to the church,
I will ask.
You're right.